Imagine stepping onto the surface of another world, a place so hostile that no human has ever set foot there and lived to tell the tale. Venus, our so-called sister planet, is anything but welcoming. In this thought experiment, we'll take you on a journey to experience what 5 seconds on this infernal world would feel like. But be warned, those 5 seconds might just be the longest and most terrifying moments of your life. Before we get into what would happen to you, let's talk about Venus itself. How did it become such a hellscape? Could it have ever been like Earth? And most importantly, is there any way for humans to survive there in the future? Venus is often called Earth's twin because of its similar size and gravity. However, that's where the similarities end. This planet is the hottest in our solar system, with surface temperatures soaring up to 475 degrees Celsius (900 degrees Fahrenheit), hot enough to melt lead. The thick, toxic atmosphere is made mostly of carbon dioxide, creating a runaway greenhouse effect that traps heat like an oven, making the planet a sweltering prison where no life as we know it could thrive. If you think deserts on Earth are hot, Venus makes them look like a winter wonderland. The planet's surface is a place of extremes, where temperatures soar higher than those in a professional pizza oven, and the pressure is an unimaginable 90 times that of Earth, akin to the crushing weight experienced a full kilometer (0.6 miles) beneath the ocean's surface. Any spacecraft that has dared to land there has suffered a grim fate, succumbing to the hostile environment within mere hours. Their metal structures have crumpled like paper, their instruments have fried beyond repair, and their circuits have melted under the relentless heat. Nothing man-made has ever lasted long in this infernal world. But what about the clouds? From a distance, they might appear soft and wispy, a picturesque veil draped over the planet. However, looks can be deceiving. These clouds are not made of water vapor like those on Earth, but of highly concentrated sulfuric acid, one of the most corrosive substances known to mankind. Any material not specially designed to withstand it would quickly disintegrate, eaten away by the toxic atmosphere. If you were somehow unlucky enough to breathe them in, the acid would destroy your lungs almost instantly, dissolving tissue upon contact. Even a brief encounter with these clouds would mean certain death. So, what would happen if you actually tried to set foot on Venus? Would your body last longer than a spacecraft? Would any part of you even remain to tell the tale? Let's embark on this harrowing thought experiment and find out just how quickly Venus would claim you as its next victim. Imagine you're in a high-tech spacecraft, making your way through the thick atmosphere of Venus. Unlike the clear skies of Earth, here you can barely see anything. The yellow haze blocks most sunlight, making everything look like an endless twilight. As you descend, the temperature rises rapidly. Your spacecraft's sensors start blaring warnings the outside is getting hotter than anything humanity has ever experienced. But you're determined to touch down and experience those infamous 5 seconds. Landing is rough. The thick atmosphere makes parachutes almost useless, and traditional thrusters struggle against the immense pressure. Your spacecraft shakes violently as you brace yourself for impact. Finally, with a loud thud, you land. Dust swirls around you, taking several minutes to settle, and now, the real test begins. The moment you step out of your spacecraft, you are hit by an invisible force, the sheer weight of Venus' atmosphere. It feels like you've been submerged in an ocean of crushing air, pressing against you from all sides. Even though the planet's gravity is similar to Earth's, every step is a struggle, as if you are wading through thick, invisible sludge. Your protective suit is working overtime to keep you alive, its cooling system straining against the suffocating heat. The temperature gauge inside your helmet reads 475 degrees Celsius (900 degrees Fahrenheit), an impossible number that makes your stomach tighten. The heat is so intense that you can hear the metal parts of your suit creaking and expanding, the very material groaning under the strain. Your breathing is heavy, your pulse quickened not just from exertion but from the realization of where you are. You have landed on the deadliest world in the solar system. For a brief moment, you take in your surroundings, struggling to process the alien landscape before you. The ground beneath your boots is rough and fractured, shaped by eons of relentless volcanic activity. The surface appears dry and brittle, yet it radiates an eerie heat, making the air around it shimmer. Every rock you see has been cooked, cracked, and reshaped by extreme temperatures and crushing pressure. There are no blue skies, only an endless, murky orange haze that swallows the horizon. The sky is thick with toxic clouds, their swirling patterns illuminated by the faint, distant glow of the sun, which looks smaller and weaker than it does on Earth. Far in the distance, you spot enormous volcanoes, their peaks barely visible through the dense atmosphere. Some of them are still active, their molten rivers of lava crawling sluggishly down the slopes, adding to the infernal landscape. The weight of this world is overwhelming physically, mentally, and emotionally. You've only been here for a few moments, but already, you can feel its hostility pressing against you. Every fiber of your being screams at you to retreat, to get back into the safety of your spacecraft. And deep down, you know that if you hesitate too long, this place will consume you whole. And then, disaster strikes. Your suit, despite all its technological advancements, wasn't designed to handle this extreme environment indefinitely. A tiny rupture appears on your left glove. Within milliseconds, the outside pressure forces its way in. Your hand feels like it's being crushed in a hydraulic press. At the same time, the heat begins to cook your exposed skin instantly. You barely have time to react before the pain becomes unbearable. You stumble backward toward your spacecraft, your vision blurring. Every second feels like an eternity. With your last ounce of strength, you lunge back into the spacecraft and slam the emergency door shut. The pressure equalizes with a loud hiss, and cool air floods your suit, offering instant but insufficient relief. Your breathing is ragged, a mixture of panic and exertion, and your hands are trembling so violently that you barely register the pain at first. Then it hits an excruciating, searing agony radiating from your left hand. You glance down and see the damage. The exposed part of your skin is charred black, covered in third-degree burns that have destroyed every nerve ending. The fabric of your glove is partially melted, fusing with what remains of your skin. If you had stayed outside for just a few more seconds, you wouldn't have lived to tell the tale. Your heart pounds in your chest as you lean against the wall of the spacecraft, trying to process what just happened. Your mind replays the horrifying moments outside, the crushing pressure, the unbearable heat, the suffocating atmosphere that threatened to extinguish your life in an instant. Every part of you aches, but the worst pain is knowing how close you came to death. The spacecraft's cooling system struggles to compensate for the brief exposure, and warning lights flicker across the control panel. You barely notice, you survived, but the cost was almost too great. A few more seconds, and the heat would have boiled your blood, the pressure would have ruptured your lungs, and Venus would have claimed yet another victim. Congratulations, you have survived 5 seconds on Venus, but at what cost? Venus is a stark reminder of what happens when a planet undergoes runaway climate change. Scientists believe that billions of years ago, Venus might have had oceans and been habitable, much like Earth, but due to an extreme greenhouse effect, it became the inferno we see today. This serves as both a warning and an inspiration. If we ever hope to explore or even colonize Venus, we will need technology far beyond what we have now. Terraforming Venus, though a distant dream, could one day turn this nightmare into a second home for humanity. Until then, the surface of Venus remains one of the most inhospitable places in the universe, a world where 5 seconds is more than enough time to understand its deadly nature. Would you dare to take that step?